And I'm Gary J. Russen. We're back on the air here on GJRB Online here on Spreaker. And it's an afternoon of talk radio craziness, just off format kind of thing. And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you'll stay with me throughout the afternoon for some great internet talk radio with the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online. And you're welcome to be a part of the show. And like I said, just whatever, no news at the top of the hour. We're just kind of going off format, doing all kinds of different things. And let's see what we got here. I'll kind of pull this over and plug this back in and get some energy back into this tablet before it crashes on me again, because it's, whatever. And pull up some news headlines here. Kind of flying past here and see if we can find some more interesting stories. And while I'm doing that, going to fly by here, just trying to find various things here of interest. But since I'm reconnected to the internet, and since sometimes I give the tablet a break, I'll use the tablet when I'm offline on a break. Other than that, usually we'll just use the computer for everything. So we're now in part 2 of the Gary Russen program. So if you're finding me, hope you are there. Part 2 of the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online here on Spreaker. Like I said before, you can catch me on the Spreaker public site and get into the chat room via the Twitter. And we're going to go into Twitter here in just a little bit and get some stories from there. And let's see, we're going to fly up here. I'm going to go into my saved file, and we'll go back to that other story. But that's I thought that was kind of interesting. But J. Pritzker has just signed a bill expanding the abortion. This is in Illinois now, and I'm sure that if Ed Delgado's listening to this right now, he might find this interesting. J.B. Pritzker right now has signed a bill to expand the abortion protections in Illinois. The law establishes abortion as a fundamental right for women, according to Pritzker. Democrats signed the bill Wednesday. Surrounded by advocates, he said that the Illinois is taking a giant step forward, while other states are taking a step backward. The measure rescinds decades-old regulations on abortion that has been suspended by judges. It also requires insurance coverage for abortion, contraception, and related medical care. Supporters say that their legislation would put existing practice into law. Republicans have strongly objected. At least 6 states have now adopted this restriction or bans on abortion. And I'll get the latest update through KWQC Channel 6 on this story. It's our NBC affiliate here, coming out just up the road there in Davenport for that story. And talking about Bernie Sanders about an hour ago, Bernie Sanders spreading his socialist, communist rhetoric. According on Fox News, the U.S. Senator talking on Fox News, and I'm going to see if we get a little bit of this mess, see what comes up. And we'll do some birthdays coming up. Celebrity birthdays coming up. Actually, Jim Neighbors, his birthday today. Jim Neighbors, Gomer Pyle. How about that? We'll talk about that coming up. And it doesn't look like it's going to play. If it does, it will probably play like 2 seconds and then freeze. Here we go.
A defining and pivotal moment for our country and the planet.
Yeah, it's going to freeze.
And with so many crises converging upon us simultaneously, it is easy for us to become overwhelmed or depressed, or even to throw up our hands in resignation. But my message to you today is that if there was ever a moment in the history of our country where despair was not an option, this is that time.
What despair?
If there was ever a moment where we had to effectively analyze the competing political and social forces which define this historical period, this is that time. If there was ever a moment when we needed to stand up and fight against the forces of oligarchy and authoritarianism, this is that time.
Let's see. Authoritarianism. Let's see, Mr. Yoda.
If there was ever a moment when we needed a new vision to bring our people together in the fight for justice, decency, and human dignity, this is that time.
Yes. There you go. That was Yoda speaking, folks. Yep, the one and only Mr. Bernie Sanders, who's way too old to just go in there to the presidency, and social rhetoric. Talking today, I guess, and I don't know exactly where that was at, but yeah. I just, I'm sorry. Just socialism rhetoric is what it is. Talk about anarchy. This guy should have that as his middle freaking name. Sorry about that, folks, but I am not playing no more. That's just going to tick me off. Really is. This man doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. Man asked Pittsburgh City Council to change the pronunciation of Pittsburgh. Check that out. How you pronounce it? This is interesting. This is coming out of the CBS2 Pittsburgh. There's a councilman said he wants to change the pronunciation of Pittsburgh. Why? It's been Pittsburgh for how long? This Scottish man spoke to the Pittsburgh City Council to argue the case that Pittsburgh being pronounced incorrectly. Earlier today, Thompson proposed the council people would properly pronounce the word as a Scottish tone. This is from Channel 2.
Looking for a man accused of raping a woman in McKees Rocks. An arrest warrant is out.
Okay, this is a different story, so I don't want that on. Okay. But going back to that, earlier today, Robert Thompson proposed to council that people would properly pronounce the word Pittsburgh as a Scottish tone. According to the partner for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Thompson argued that the founder of Pittsburgh, General John Forbes, was Scot and intended it that way. Councilman Anthony Coghill, Coghill, also Scottish ancestry, supported his debate. Twitter users made the correction that Pittsburgh should be pronounced Pittsboro, which does, to me, sounds just plain stupid. Similar to that of Edinburgh, and also a Scottish word. I have a problem with this. It's been Pittsburgh as long as I can remember, for goodness sake. So we're going to call that the Pittsboro Steelers. People always just want to leave things alone and quit changing stuff. Good grief. I mean, come on. Isn't it time to quit this? It's just like that, it's just like that screwball Pope who wants to change the Lord's Prayer. Did you hear that one? Yeah. Dope on a rope wants to change the Lord's Prayer. Imagine that. It's just like, come on, why don't we just leave things alone? Why do we have to change everything? I mean, why do we do this? I mean, quite frankly, they just people just don't want to leave things alone. It's always change, for heaven's sakes. And why just leave it alone? It's been Pittsburgh since I grew up. It's been Pittsburgh long before that. They didn't really call it the Pittsburgh flood of 1936. I mean, okay, whatever. I mean, it's nuts. Okay, we got further down the line, we're going to go through a few more pages here. Your comments are welcome. That's GJRB Online here on Spreaker. And we are on Spotify too, so if you want to catch us live there. I haven't tried Spotify Live yet. I got to see if I can even get my show on Spotify. Haven't really checked that out yet. I'm going to do something here real quick. I'm going to go and just search my name here, my Gary Russen program, just to see something here real quick. I wanted to see this. The Gary Russen program. I wanted to see something here. Wait a minute, what's this? Okay. Oh boy. Okay. All right, it's going to be that way about it. All right, well, I'm gonna check it later. I think it's just because I'm streaming that it's not working. So I'll just have to let it be for now. Your comments are welcome. Gary.Russen on Skype. Gary J021361. You can get on my you can contact me on my emails too. GaryJ65@yahoo.com, GaryJ021361@gmail.com, and comment there. Facebook. I'm gonna go into Twitter. I think I'll do that. And then we're going to pretty soon drop into the play a tune, take a break, get something off my Gary J in the Morning playlist, and play it, take a break, and then we'll do a weather forecast. That's what I'll do next. This is the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online. You're welcome to be part of the program. Off the cuff today, just kind of trying to get this station going every day is what I'm trying to do. It's been so much going on that I haven't really been able to have the station on every day as much as I like. And I'm trying to work on getting to that point where I can do that. So I'm working on that. So far so good, but still. All right, tell you what we're going to do right now. I'm going to go ahead and pop into my playlist and play a tune and take a talk break here. I'm going to go into my regular playlist under the Gary J in the Morning and Gary J in the Afternoon show playlist. Let's see here. Well, let's see. I'll throw in that. Let's see, my music. Let's see, new music, let's see, where's my music here? My music folder, here it is. I'm just going to go into that time of hour where I kind of play some of the heavies and play something from that. And you're listening to the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online here on Spreaker across America. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and hope you're enjoying the program. The latest from Young Mister. Is there anybody out there? Is there? Be right back. The Gary Russen program on Spreaker.
Isn't it always like this? God curse my heavy hand.
That's a group called Young Mister on GJRB Online. Is there anybody out there? And you got Gary J. Russen with you on GJRB Online here on Spreaker across America. And this is it's the Gary Russen program here on Spreaker. And this is our freestyle show, middle of the week, over the hump day kind of thing. The famous what's that? The camel. Yeah. Well, guess what day this is? Yeah, and of course, sometimes it doesn't sound right to me, does it? Just that simple. But anyway, we got a really good afternoon of talk and fun. We're going to continue scrolling through social media. We're going to Twitter this hour and seeing what's happening there, and we'll have our weather on the fives coming up here real shortly, and give you an update on the weather forecast and a whole lot more. And if you want to get in on the act here, all you got to do is just join me here on GJRB Online, and see if there's anybody out there listening on Spreaker, listening on Spotify, and other stuff. Join me, and we'll talk and have some fun today here on GJRB Online. And you could be on the show and find something interesting to talk about. And we're going to kind of spread this around. I'm going to try some different things today before the show is out, including maybe even doing a video which will kind of go on the GJRB TV YouTube channel, and a few other places, including putting a short 10-minute one up there on the, what's that other one? Darn it, I hate when that happens. I can't remember anything. The other site that I use, Instagram. Couldn't think of that for darn. But anyway, that's what we're doing. Get Instagram, and we'll have stuff on there. And okay, I'm recording that anyway. So we're going to be going into weather on the fives here in a couple of minutes. Take a look at some national temperatures, and sometimes we just kind of go a little early on that. And let's see. Well, we do it. 79 degrees in Seattle, 84 degrees in Portland, 93 in Sacramento for Thursday high, 72 in San Diego, 84 in Flagstaff, 85 in Lubbock. Let's take a look at some weather on Weather Nation.
Just outside of Palm Beach, actually, Loxahatchee, Florida. That's about, kind of stuff you can't see your hand in front of your face. Very heavy rain that was falling into the area. Very tropical downpours taking place on the backside of low pressure hanging out over the Bahamas. A little bit of isolated. It takes a lot now to get flash flooding to occur in the state of Florida. Loamy, sandy soil takes care of a lot of that, even at this kind of a rate. But that's unbelievable how much rain was coming down there in a short amount of time. And still do have some rain into the area. Palm Beach County is underneath a severe thunderstorm warning as a result of this storm west of I-95 north of Delray, Florida, that is still hanging tough here. Moving on to the northeast, I think most likely what we're talking about is some of the higher winds there at 60 miles per hour. They did get a report of quarter-size hail, Steve. That's unbelievable. Quarter-size hail in West Palm in June is just unfathomable here on the south side of Lake Okeechobee. And moving on eastward over toward Boynton Beach into the Boca Raton area, Coral Springs and south, there more rain falling here into Dade County, all the way down to Homestead, actually, South Miami Heights and through Alligator Alley on I-75 westward. We go northward over to the Space Coast. You'll find those thunderstorms just offshore of Melbourne, Titusville. A lot of heavier stuff now east of Daytona Beach in St. Augustine. Go northward into the Panhandle, over to the Big Bend. You'll find rain from Lake City, Florida, along I-75 and I-10. Westward to just about Leon County, Florida, Gadsden County, Wakulla County, down here to the south. Some of the heavier rain coming on shore there near St. Mark's, near the lighthouse there. And moving on eastward. Big thunderstorms as well into southern Georgia, just south of Statesboro on I-16 over to Douglas, into Vidalia, Georgia. Or you go back over here along Lake Eufaula and northward, and this is kind of a weird, strange thing that's going on here at the moment. I'm going to back the radar up a couple of hours and do a time lapse to show you. All this stuff was coming in from east to west, made a boundary that moved all the way over to Birmingham and is now backing up again, going west to east. We saw this little backdoor cold front last night that was moving in through Atlanta. The showers coming in from the east side of Cobb County, but moved through the rest of the county, made it all the way over to Birmingham, but now is going back in the other direction, if you will, from west to east again. This is not, this is kind of a microcosm of what's happening into the whole, but basically we had an east wind coming in on the east side of the Appalachians that was doing this backdoor cold front, and now that boundary's backing up just a little bit. It has caused a severe thunderstorm warning or two, one up into Coleman County, another one that made it all the way over into the eastern side of Jackson County, actually. Further to the north we go. We get up into Missouri, south of Kansas City. That's a severe thunderstorm warning as well. And in addition to that, southward that goes all the way down to Clinton is going to be for Bates, Cass, Henry, Johnson counties. Bates, Cass, Henry, and Johnson counties. You're underneath a severe thunderstorm warning just north of Clinton due to this storm on I-70 east of Butler and Harrisonville and Odessa down to Clinton. That's going to be one of your areas there that we'll look at along I-70. Then as you get further to the east, Effingham, Centralia over to Mount Vernon, Champaign, Kankakee to Chicago, Kenosha, Milwaukee, I-39. Heavier rainfall here with a couple of thunderstorms still ongoing across the area there. North of I-75, scattered rain showers are in pretty good agreement there to what's happening overall. And in Cincinnati as well, we have scattered showers and thunderstorms still into the area there that we'll be watching in the hours to come. Let me show you the satellite imagery here overall across the rest of the nation as a whole, where we do have scattered clouds. We'll get into the tropics here shortly, but all this is yet another boundary that's headed south through the Missouri Valley all the way down and then into the Gulf of Mexico. There's an upswing, if you will, in some of the cloud cover there. Maybe some of the afternoon thunderstorms that have popped along the Gulf Coast or out over the Bahamas. Does that mean anything as far as tropical season goes? Well, sure it does. That's a small tease, and we'll give you the latest on that forecast coming up here shortly as well. It's heat back into the west. Phoenix, Arizona. It's been you can't see it there, but it's kind of sizzling, Steve.
It is. I know. It's hard to tell from the picture. But you're typing about 110 at least in Phoenix, Arizona today. Now, the average in Phoenix is 103. So it is common to get beyond 100 degrees into mid-June, but you're up into the 1-teen range. Now, record highs have been broken across parts of the Southwest this week, but also record warm low temperatures. Records are kept in both ways. You can have a record cold high temperature. And in this case, it's the opposite. We had our warmest overnight temperature in Bozeman, Montana this week, 53 degrees. These are kept on a daily basis, breaking the overnight record from just a year ago, 52. So far today, heat alerts still continuing in southwest Arizona, southeast California, southern Nevada, Vegas, over to Phoenix, Yuma, all the way up to Portland and Medford. Portland today, 97, Medford 102, 107 in Vegas, and 89 in Boise. The big story is that we have been very, very hot this week and currently are, but then we'll start to ease that back just a little bit for many of us. Record highs today, these are kept on a daily basis, and they range from the upper 80s to low 90s, even some upper 90s, but we're forecast to break those records, and we'll bring you a full report tonight to see how we did. Fire weather outlook when you get this hot, though, and after the spring bloom things and those vegetations that are drying out, giving us a fire risk across southwest Oregon, northern California for today. And tomorrow it moves just a little bit into Washington, eastern Oregon, as well as much of Arizona. Fire and outdoor burning discouraged because of the dry, warm, and breezy weather conditions through the afternoon hours. Tomorrow, high temperatures down to 84 Portland, so a little relief. 95 in Medford, 101 in Redding, 107 in Vegas, and 112 in Phoenix. Why we're going to start to see a break in the heat? Well, right now the jet stream pattern is far to the north across the high plains in western U.S., allowing warmth to surge north and cool air to surge south in the eastern U.S. So it's a bit of a wavy weather pattern for the jet stream, but it's going to flatten out. And what that does is kind of distributes the heat just a little bit better. But still, across the western and southern tier of the United States through Father's Day weekend, it's favoring warmer than average weather conditions. Medford usually 80 this time of the year. It's a slow fall down into the 80s next week. head to Weather Nation on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Weather Nation. If you have any cool weather pictures or videos you want to share with us, or check out what we've posted so far today.
And there you go. There's your Weather Nation on GJRB Online here on Spreaker across America. I'm Gary J. Russen. We'll be right back. I got more good stuff coming your way. This is the Gary Russen program on the GJRB Online Network.
And times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end-time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB.
Coast to coast and way out there, fans, listen up. If you like UFO conspiracies, ghosts, and the paranormal, you'll love Spaced Out Radio, Spreaker's answer to Coast AM, with more interesting
crossing. We're building a future for all generations. Stop out today at our sales office, open 7 days a week.
And I'm back on the air, the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online here on Spreaker across America, as we are back on the air here, and we're just going to continue just having fun and playing some music and just talking at you this afternoon. They're talking with you this afternoon on the Gary Russen program. Your chance to get on the program here on Spreaker. And kind of a slow afternoon as usual. I thought that the Spotify would make a difference, but when I was looking on that, I thought that they had a live stream on there, so I guess they just get it as soon as it's done. So each segment's over with, apparently, then it goes up. So I don't think that people hear me live on Spotify or not. But whatever the case may be, I'm just going to continue doing this program the way I've always been doing it. Just a freestyle edition today, nothing really big as far as putting this show on and doing some different things with it. I'm just playing around today. Nothing really big, but we'll be back on the air Friday afternoon with our regular format and doing the regular Gary Russen program. So if you'll tune in for that broadcast, we'll be on the air live at 3 o'clock Central Daylight on Friday afternoon right here on GJRB Online with our regular Freestyle Friday edition of the Gary Russen program, our regular 9-foot format, and doing more of this stuff called GRP. And then I'm going to I need to get a hold of Ben Ostman to see if he can join us on the show on Saturday and do our Saturday Extra. So we're going to see what happens there, and I'll probably see if we can put that up on Spotify as well. But right now, though, we're going to continue with the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online. I'm going to click out of that now. Let's go to my saved part here. That's where I was going for. And as I was mentioning about an hour ago, it looks like San Francisco is going to soar, and it's going to get really hot in the Pacific, especially from San Francisco, California, all the way down, I think, into the Los Angeles area. When I'm looking at the map there's what they're saying, that California is going to get real hot, and if it's on that westerly wind stream, then more than likely it's going to be where it could get hot here in the Midwest too. So that you got to figure that. So yeah, I am just don't get the stories I want to anymore. I'm going to go over to my Twitter page now, because I'm not getting any decent stories here. So I'm going to go over to Twitter. So I'm going to pop into that and sign in and see if we can get in some stories there. Because, like I said before, Facebook and their ad blockers, I'm telling you, can't even read a story without having the advertisement in front of it. So those pop-up ads really are annoying, aren't they? Definitely irritating. So I'm going to see if I can find that same story on my Twitter page. Because sometimes I can get a better news coverage on there. I've been thinking about going there anyway in the first place to get some listeners. Coming up this hour, I'm going to be putting my shows over to the Convo and MeWe side to see if we can get some listeners on that end. Because sometimes I can get some better success by getting into some of the other sites, and I'm going to also try to put my show up on. I'm working on getting that up on Instagram, because sometimes I think even Instagram might give me some attention. Working on that part. Mostly on my Twitter page under Messenger. Get a lot from Dave Scott. So that's been he's on tonight at 11 o'clock Central Daylight, 9:05 Pacific. And he has a good show called Spaced Out Radio. And he has many affiliated stations in the Southwest that carry his program. Many FM stations, and it's a great show to tune into if you ever have a chance to listen to that. Real good show. And he does some really good and really interesting stuff on that program. And you'll have to tune into that. That's real good show. Spaced Out Radio, that is on Spreaker, but you can also catch it on many fine radio stations, and including a Z93.7 classic rock station out of California. They play good classic rock. And let's see here. I'm going to kind of go, I'm going to turn back to the other page. I'm going to go over to, what am I in here for? Boy, I hate when that happens. I always do that. What am I in here for? You ever lose? I'm getting really to a point where I get in here and I forget where I'm at. I'll go look for something, and then I'll go into a certain thing. What did I go in there for? So I'm kind of on two social sites at the same time. I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on Twitter on the computer. And I'm also right now on my Spreaker public site, and I don't see anybody in the last hour. Now, my first hour of the program, I did have the Caramel Conservative on in the first part of our show, but he was on the road, so he was listening on a Wi-Fi, apparently. He must have a way of picking. He probably has some data on his phone. Maybe that's how he's doing it. But I do have one listener tuning in on the part 2 of the show. If it looks confusing and you see no parts on the show, that usually means that I am offline for a period of time. And when I'm offline for a period of time, what happens is I take a promo break on my local side. And it doesn't, I don't have the parts on there. So it'll come up and it will show how much I'm on. But the first part there, when you see it says zeros, I'm going to delete that because that is nothing. Okay, so what I'm looking at is these two with the titles without part 2 or part next to it. That is your first part, the first hour. And right now we're on the second hour, which is part 2. Now I'll expand that hour out when I flip over and rename that, so it'll be 2 part 2s, but it'll be part 2 segment 2 or 2-2, like I used to do when I was on my 15-minute, when I was doing the free plan. I do 2-2, but now I'm using that as a second segment of part 1 or a second segment of part 2. So until I get this thing up to the 3-hour plan, that's how I'm doing it. Each part represents an hour. So the final part won't say part 3, it'll say the final part, but that will be the final hour of the program, which will be coming up. So that's how I'm doing that, and that lets me know exactly where I'm at in the hour and gives me an idea specifically, where I'm at. Because I know that the 10-minute short parts are the end of the hour of part 1 is short. The end of part 2 will be short. So when I mark that, I'll know what that is. I'll know what that means. So I do that on purpose. But I'll do 50 minutes of nonstop talk and music and fun in the last hour. And I'm going to talk about our program schedule and kind of wind through some news and see if there's any late-breaking stories on all the social sites. And I invite more of you out there who may be listening through Spotify. And I'm going to, let's see here. If you are listening, you can get a hold of me on Skype, Gary.Russen. If you are a Facebook fan listening on Facebook, you can tune in to me on that. That's in my chat room, and just hit that call button, and it'll ring in the Spreaker Studio if you want to get on the air. And I am checking some things here, and I want to see how my Spotify works, because I've been playing with it, but I haven't really been, trying to find, where to go into a lot of stuff. So right now it's been kind of where I'm trying to, it's kind of complicated. I like this Spotify, but it's weird in that I can't access my playlist as fast as I'd like to. So, and they advertise a lot on here, which I can understand. Somebody's got to make money. But yeah. Okay, I want to see here. Recently played. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to go over to where I'm at. Goldberg has pledged his support for. Okay, perfect. That is from our 517 show. I was listening to that earlier before I went on the air. So our show from May 17th is also on here. So you can go into Spotify and get my last couple shows on here and listen to them right on Spotify. So if you missed the show, and you can catch it in 2 places. So right here on Spreaker, on the Spreaker Public site, or on Spotify. So you can find the programs on there. They're right there for you to listen to any time of the day or night. So if you're one of those that is not up at night and can't sleep, you can just catch my podcast from the previous day and listen to the recording, if anything at all, and catch up on my shows. Some of those shows are going to be on Spotify, and I don't know if all of them are going to be. I did go in there, and I'm sure that GJRB Online, some of our other programs might end up on there. But I see a lot of really good people from I follow on Spreaker on here. Walter M. DeBal, I think it's his name. He does the podcasting on here for blues. He's on here. Dave Scott is also on here. Dave Scott, who does the Spaced Out Radio, is also on here. Bob Huber Experience is on here. So I'm in here with a lot of great people. So it's great to be on Spotify, but I'm going to be checking other sites too that I can get on other. I have right now. It's pending with GJRB, and of course iHeartRadio is pending, and the Google Podcast is kind of pending at this point. They're not letting me know whether or not I can be on there. So right now I am at least on Spotify, which kind of is okay with me. That's cool. And you can listen to me there. And, of course, listen to me live on Twitter by hitting that button. And, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go into my Twitter right now on my homepage on my Twitter and see here. It should have popped up by now. The radio emblem. You'll see GJRB Online with the antique radio emblem. And right on it, you'll see our GJRB Online logo. And when you press that button, you'll get my widget. It'll pop up, and you can listen to me right there. And when you click that, it'll go into my chat room right away. So you can listen to the show right there. And got a lot of really neat stuff on here that wanted to go through. Some interesting articles over the past couple of days. Number of planets that could support alien life is much smaller, according to the Daily Mail Online. Okay, let's see what else I can find on here. WPXI news story. A popular vacation spot for Pittsburghers is the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Other persons have been attacked by a shark in the water there. Details. That's from WPXI Channel 11. There's been shark attacks in some certain areas, and including some of them was, I guess, the Carolinas.